Mobvoi have just released two new models of true wireless earbuds, following on from their highly popular AirPods competitor, the TicPods 3. The new TicPods 2 and TicPods 2 Pro maintain a lot of the same features of the previous generation, but also have a few interesting additions to enhance the user experience. What was most interesting to me though were a couple of changes that I'd actually consider to be a downgrade from the TicPods 3, which would make me want to suggest that the new models are simply alternative options as opposed to direct successors or upgrades. In this video, we'll be getting into all of the changes from the TicPods 3, all of the new features this year, and also the difference between the TicPods 2 and 2 Pro. Let's take a look. Starting with the case design, this is now significantly smaller and lighter than before, and is actually one of the most compact earbuds cases on the market. Not many can fit inside the smaller pocket inside your jeans, so it will be very easy to carry these around with you. The design is pretty minimal, and the case is still made from a relatively cheap plastic, which although offers enough protection for the earbuds, I think could have done with some reinforcement for the fairly flimsy lid. The earbuds are held magnetically inside, and are fairly easy to remove or place back, and you'll also notice here a small button, which can be used for pairing or resetting the TicPods. The best upgrade here though is the USB-C charging port, replacing the micro USB port from the TicPods 3. Moving on to the earbuds though, you can see straight away that these are clearly intended as an AirPods competitor. They're made from a lightweight plastic and are currently available in three colours: navy, white and pink. I actually have here the TicPods 2 Pro, but these share an identical design to the standard TicPods 2, and all the differences in features will be explained in this video. They have a long stem shape with the head that sits just in the outer part of your ear, rather than in the ear canal. Mobvoi have actually moved in the opposite direction to Apple with their design updates, moving away from the silicone ear tip style of the TicPods 3 that Apple now use with the new AirPods Pro. The design choice to me was quite unusual, since I personally find the benefits of the silicone ear tips outweigh this now dated design, and I'd consider this the first downgrade from the TicPods 3. There are some benefits here though, and the TicPods 2 rest gently in your ears without being obtrusive, so it's very easy to quickly find a comfortable fit. They're so light that you might even forget you're wearing them after a while. You don't get the same ear soreness in your ear canal, and I'd equate the comfort level with something like AirPods. TicPods allow your ears to breathe, and you to hear your surroundings, and since they don't seal your ear canal, there's no risk of that cabin pressure sensation that's sometimes complained about, so those who can't handle earbuds being pushed inside their ears will likely welcome this design. But this also comes with a few important drawbacks too. Without that tight seal, there's almost no passive noise isolation, so it's difficult to immerse yourself in your music, and this will definitely be a problem if you're trying to use these in noisy environments. Yes, the earbuds let you hear your surroundings, but this also includes times that you don't want to. A lot of the silicone ear tip earbuds provide good noise isolation, but also a transparency feature to let you hear your surroundings only when you want to, which isn't possible here. Not having ear tips also means you have just one size for the earbuds, so if these don't fit well in your ears, there's no way to fix this, which is the same problem AirPods have. How well these fit in your ears is completely subjective, but for me personally, I had no trouble keeping these in my ears when sat down or walking around, and they even stayed reasonably still whilst running. They also have an IPX4 water resistance rating, to protect the earbuds from light splashes and sweat, but without any tight seal or wingtips, these still might not be the best earbuds to use for workouts. Returning from the TicPods 3 are the touch controls, including double tap to skip songs, and in-ear detection, which automatically pauses your music when you take out an earbud, and resumes playing when you place it back. They even have the swipe up and down volume control that many people have wanted in AirPods for years. On the one hand, I like that volume control is an option here, and dragging your finger to control the volume on either earbud actually does work, but you have to be very careful and precise so as to not knock the earbud from your ear, so the control is far from perfect. The volume increments are also larger with the swipe gestures than with using my phone's controls, and it was frustrating that the volume often jumped from being too quiet, straight up to being too loud, without stopping in between. You'll need to learn to tap in the centre of the stem too, rather than the perhaps more intuitive head of the earbud, but once you're used to it, the touch controls aren't too bad. The Mobvoi app will let you customize the touch control to some degree. For example, you can have songs skip back or pause instead of skip forward, but this applies to both earbuds, so you can't have one side skip forward and the other back. The app isn't perfect and has a few poor English translations, but the interface is clean, and I was surprised with just how much customization is being offered here. For example, you can choose which kind of beeps the earbuds will give you for each individual action. I've seen options to turn these all off before, but never for individual actions. I for one have definitely wanted to be able to turn off the low battery warning, but not have to disable the prompt that tells me my earbuds are connected when I turn them on. There's accurate battery tracking for each earbud here too, along with a somewhat familiar splash screen when you connect your earbuds. Oh yes, just in case this wasn't already clear, these are an AirPods competitor. The app even has extra tabs for setting up routines and connecting with other smart devices like the TicWatch. So let me know if you'd want to see a video on the TicWatch Pro and how the TicPods sync seamlessly with it. You can also upgrade the earbuds firmware here, and even set an equalizer for your music, although I'd recommend steering clear of these since they all seem to diminish the audio quality. The rest of the app is dedicated to the new features that are exclusive to the Pro model of the TicPods 2. The new Pro features fall under two main categories, which Mobvoi are calling TicHear and TicMotion. The first TicHear feature is quick commands, which in principle should let you simply say commands like pause music or skip song without the need to use a wake word first. Now the reason I said in principle is because unfortunately this didn't quite work as smoothly as I would have liked. I had to speak very loudly and really enunciate each word to trigger the action. Playing and pausing music just did not work at all, and I'd say the feature worked for me less than 10% of the time. I had just as bad luck on iOS as Android, and ultimately it just wasn't practical to use at all. The second TicHear feature is Hey Tico, a wake-up word which can activate the voice assistant on your smartphone. What's cool about this is that it works across platforms, so it can wake Siri on iOS or the Google Assistant on Android, both with the same wake word. Again, I had to speak overly clearly and loudly to get it to work, but the performance here was much better. I tend not to use voice commands myself, but adding hands-free voice control to your smartphone, regardless of whether you're on iOS or Android, is excellent. If you don't want to use your voice, then you can always tap and hold to invoke the voice assistant the more traditional way instead. The TicMotion feature allows you to use head gestures to answer or hang up phone calls hands-free. You simply nod your head twice to answer a call, or shake your head to reject it, but you'll really need to exaggerate these actions to get them to trigger the command, and even then, these might not work. Again, it's not something I'd personally use, especially given how ridiculous you'll look using them, but it's just another option for you. All of these Tic features can be toggled off in the Mobvoi app, so if you're not using them, then you can turn them off to save on battery. Aside from these new AI features, there are a few upgrades from the TicPods 3 that are available on both new models that you should be aware of. For example, the TicPods 2 now have Bluetooth 5, and from my testing offered pretty decent connectivity, covering around 80% of my house and only experiencing dropouts through multiple walls and obstacles. The connection between the left and right earbuds was fine though, with the audio playing perfectly in sync. As for the latency, there was a slight delay with the audio when watching YouTube videos, but Netflix content seemed to be fine, and this was the same for both iOS and Android. This is pretty standard for true wireless earbuds, but I did expect the latency to be lower on Android, given that these support the aptX codec. Support for aptX is a really nice feature, but for some reason, you need to go into the Mobvoi app to activate it, which is a bit strange, but not a deal breaker. The battery has also been slightly improved, with the TicPods 2 offering 23 hours of total playback, and the TicPods 2 Pro offering 20 hours. From the claimed 4-hour continuous playback time, I actually managed just under this at 50% volume, and ideally, I would have liked to have listened to my music at a louder volume too, so do expect even less playback time with normal use. With a phone call, they lasted just over 2 hours, and in general, the battery life is on the lower end compared to the competition. It's certainly not a deal breaker, but the battery life is something I'd improve on in future models. The TicPods do have a decent fast charge feature though, offering 1 hour of playback after just 5 minutes of charging. It only takes 40 minutes to charge the earbuds fully, or 85 minutes if you're charging the case from zero as well. And of course this is now charged by USB-C rather than the old micro USB, so that was an important upgrade. The only other feature change you might notice a benefit with is the dual mic noise cancelling to help improve phone calls on the TicPods 2 Pro. The TicPods 2 also have this feature, but just use a single mic to achieve this instead. Now this isn't the same as active noise cancelling, like you have on the AirPods Pro. It's just a way of using the earbuds microphones to help improve voice quality against the background noise during calls. As you've probably already worked out, this section has been recorded through the TicPods mics, to give an idea of their phone call quality. From my testing, the performance was basically the same as most others, which is to say that they're fine in quiet environments, but when it's loud or windy outside, then the phone calls become nearly impossible. Now at this point, you've heard a lot of different specs and features, and you might be confused about what exactly is new to the TicPods 2, and also what's exclusive to the Pro model, so let me try and break it down more clearly. Since the TicPods 3, both TicPods 2 models have that new design that no longer has the silicone ear tips, and as we touched on earlier, you may or may not find this to be an improvement. The The smaller charging case is definitely an improvement though, especially now that it charges via USB-C. The total battery life has been slightly improved on the new models too, with the standard TicPods 2 performing slightly better than the Pro model. Connectivity is improved with support for Bluetooth 5 and for the lower latency aptX codec. Phone call quality should be better too, with mics in both the left and right earbuds, and especially with the dual mic noise cancelling in the TicPods 2 Pro. The TicPods 2 water resistance is surprisingly slightly worse than the TicPods 3 though, with an IPX4 rating versus IPX5. In addition to these changes, the TicPods 2 Pro received a slightly more powerful chip than the standard TicPods 2, which gives rise to the TicHear and TicMotion features. Only on the Pro model can you use quick commands, head gestures, or the hands-free Hey Tico feature. So aside from these extra features and the slight differences in microphones and battery lives, the TicPods 2 are otherwise the same as the Pro model. So that covers all of the new features, but perhaps the most important aspect of the earbuds is their sound quality. I found the TicPods 2 offered a clean and pleasant sound signature, slightly warm, but far from bass heavy. There's definitely a step up in quality over most of the budget-priced options, particularly when it comes to clarity. Vocals are pronounced and shine, even if some of the other instruments aren't quite as detailed in the mid-range, and the highs never became harsh or piercing. There's enough bass here so that the audio doesn't seem thin, but I imagine that this will be the area that some people find lacking, although I've always found this to be a problem with the non-ear-tip style earbuds. I often get asked if earbuds are loud enough, and I would say that these are on the quieter side compared to most. I was listening at around 75% volume, where I typically listen at 50 to 60, but max volume will still be far too loud for most. Now, this assessment really applies to indoor use only, because in any kind of noisy environment, the lack of isolation with the earbud design makes it very hard to immerse yourself in the music. The outside noise is often overpowering, the bass response diminishes, and the listening experience becomes rather lackluster. Although I think that the audio quality is technically better here, I wouldn't be surprised to hear some people say that the TicPods 3 sound better, simply because of the isolating silicon ear-tip design. Importantly though, I think these sound just as good as the more expensive AirPods, which brings me to the final aspect to consider with these earbuds, the price. The way Mobvoi really plan to compete with the world's most popular true wireless earbuds is by offering theirs at a much lower price. The TicPods 2 are available from $100, and the TicPods 2 Pro from $126, which both significantly undercut Apple's AirPods. Of course, there are things that AirPods do better, but if you consider the TicPods' better water resistance, support for aptX, and arguably higher audio quality, these are definitely a compelling alternative. If we bring back that graphic of the TicPods 2 vs 2 Pro breakdown, then you can see exactly where that extra $26 is going on the Pro model. Personally, I don't think the Pro model is really worth it. We've seen that the TicHear and TicMotion features either don't work at all or don't work very well, so I think the standard TicPods 2 offer much better value for money. Unless you absolutely have to have hands-free control, then for me the Pro model simply aren't worth the added cost. Don't forget that without all of the Pro features, there's even less separating the TicPods 2 from the TicPods 3, and given their advantages and big price drop, I still think these are worth considering too. Overall, I've been pretty impressed with the TicPods 2. There are a few minor performance issues to work out, and they're ultimately limited by their design, but for the price they offer great value for money, certainly as an AirPods competitor. TicPods bring a lot of the Apple exclusive features of AirPods to Android users, such as in-ear detection and hands-free control, so I can definitely see these becoming more popular on Android. Apple users, however, may prefer the more polished experience of AirPods, and added benefits like better battery life and instant device switching. Essentially, Apple users could save money with these TicPods, or they could pay more to get a smoother and better overall experience with AirPods. But for Android users, the TicPods 2 are basically cheaper but better AirPods, so it's a no-brainer to choose these instead. If you're in the market for some good value true wireless earbuds, Mobvoi's TicPods 2 are definitely worth a look. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.